G'day viewers. So here's the situation. You're heading off in your caravan on your big trip, going away for a couple of months. It's all going to be great fun. You've checked everything, got your van serviced, got everything in it, fixed anything that needed fixing, sorted out any issues that you had from previous trips away, and looking forward to this. This is great. But as you head off on holidays, and this happened to us, 5 days into the trip, we've left Brisbane, we get to Canberra. We've been through pretty hot weather, 40 degrees during the day, and driving along. Anyway, we get to Canberra and plug everything in, power supply fails in the van. The power supply that runs everything pretty much in the van, except for mains powered equipment such as the microwave, the air conditioner, the stove's gas, the fridge is gas. But of course, when you're in a caravan park, you can run your fridge on 12 volts and you don't have to use the gas if you're doing that. But everything else, the fan, the lights, etc., are all 12 volt. So your power supply is a critical piece of caravan infrastructure these days because everything's 12 volts. It's got to be going. A bit like your fridge at home. Your fridge fails at home in the middle of summer. You haven't got time to make any decisions about, I think I'll go and have a look at what sort of fridges are out there and I'll shop around, see what I can buy, get the best price. Nah, because guess what? Murphy's there. He's there to make sure your fridge fails when it's 40 degrees and you've got about 3 hours to sort something out before everything in the fridge is lost. Typically this could be just prior to Christmas Day, couldn't it? You got the fridge loaded up, you got the hams, the turkeys, the salads, everything's made, bang, fridge dies. You got 2 hours before the shop's shut to go down and buy a fridge. You're paying top price and buying anything that's on the floor and getting it home as soon as you can because you haven't got time to do anything else, so you pay a premium. And that's what Murphy does. He's good at it. So he came on holidays with us. Well, for the first week anyway, clearly. So I get to Canberra, power supply shot, and I've got to sort it ASAP. We're heading to Melbourne to catch the ferry to Tassie. So we're on a deadline. And I've got fitted to my van this thing, the CTEK MXS25. It's a 240 volt in, 12 volt out, nominally 13.8, 25 amp battery charger. And these are made in Sweden. And they're an industry standard. A lot of people have these things. They're good, they're small, they're a low profile power supply. And guess what? They've got a 2-year warranty. How good is that? 2-year warranty. So I bought this van second hand. The guy I bought it off had to replace this a week before I bought it. So it's brand new. I've got the receipt, but I bought it in Albury. And I've got that. So it's a year into it. It's only a year old. It's failed. Beauty. I'm in Canberra. I'll nick down plenty of places here. I'll be nicked down to the local CTEK dealer and get this thing sorted, because these things, when they fail, they don't fix them. They're replacement. They don't fix power supplies like this, battery chargers. They're unrepairable. Switch mode power supplies have catastrophic failures and they're not repairable items. Go down to CTEK dealer. Mate, this thing's dead. It's only a year old. I need another one. So what does he say? As I said, Murphy's with me. But this isn't even Murphy's fault. This is the CTEK distributor's problem. That warranty's fine as long as you take this item back where you bought it from. You have to take it to the dealer that you bought the product from. Here's where the trouble's going to start, isn't it? You can see this. I'm not the person who bought it, which should not be an objection to this thing being warranted, but you can imagine that they will definitely try that one on. Mate, you didn't buy this. Your name's not on this receipt. It's irrelevant. Under consumer law, this thing has failed and the warranty extends to me as the purchaser. But anyway, I know I'm going to have a fight over that. That would be number one. But the worst thing is this thing came from Albury. because that's where the guy bought it from. I'm not detouring to Albury for a $200 power supply to return this thing and have a fight with a bloke and then let them, you know, you'll have to wait till tomorrow till I get an answer back from blah blah, the distributor. Nah, not happening. So, new power supply required. What am I going to buy? Well, I'll tell you what it isn't going to be. It's not going to be this thing, because that's 2 of these things died now. So, and I know of other CTEKs, and there's a bit of info about them on the web too, on forums, etc. So they haven't got a good track record, and I think they're inadequate. I think the heating situation's problematic for them here. That the ventilation and that the very small fan that's inside, because it's only the size of a 50-cent piece if you're lucky, and a very small, this footprint underneath, there's a little tiny gap that's where the air is exchanged. It's not an efficient method of of thermal cooling. It's just not. I don't think it's good enough. Now, whether that contributed to the failure or not, I don't know, because I know these things have failed in winter for people. A friend of ours lost theirs last year. They had to detour. They're out at Booley or somewhere and had to go to Mount Isa to get a replacement because this died on them. I think it was this one. Anyway. Yeah, so problem. I'm not buying another one of those. So what do I buy? This is what I bought. I paid extra, and it's, you know, probably 25% dearer than buying a CTEK. I bought a Projecta, because I know Projecta. I've got their DC to DC chargers in several 4-wheel drives I've put in, and we've done trips with them, and they're in extreme conditions under the bonnet. You know, they are really, really hot, particularly in summer. And my Projecta worked. It's been in there for a few years and it works brilliantly, as has all. I haven't seen a minute's trouble with them. I've seen fuse holders melting and everything else happening underneath there in the summer heat, but you could fry an egg on the Projecta DC to DC charger. It's bulletproof, right? So that's what I'm getting. I'm going to get a Projecta IC2500, 25 amps output, 240 input. So it has a number of lead acid profiles for wet cells, AGMs, cranking batteries, whatever, and calcium. So it does not do lithium, not a lithium charger. I haven't got lithium, so not even a concern for me. But it's also a 13.8 volt, 25 amp power supply. So if you want to run a fridge or something, or a couple, this thing will do that too. It's got a power supply mode. So you select what you want it to do. Good part about it for a caravan, it's got this remote head, a brilliant feature, because that head emulates the front panel of the charger, and this is a big charger, and I think that's probably a good thing because it's got a big fan in it to keep it cool. And I've had this under load for hours in 30 degrees and it barely gets warm, so it seems to be thermally very efficient. But anyway, this remote control panel emulates the front panel on the charger, and you can mount this. I think the standard, this cable has a 5-metre extension on it, and it's just a little flat telephone ribbon cable that you get with when you buy a telephone handset. Not that anyone does these days, but anyway, it's a very simple 6-pin telephone plug on either end. So to mount this console, it's a 2-part. There's a frame at the back, which is 2 screws and a 15mm hole for the plug. And then this thing just pops in and pops out if you just clip it in. So nice, simple. But if you wanted to extend it up to 10 metres away, that wouldn't be an issue. You could easily do that. And minimum fuss, very simple to route that cable through. Great product. So the Projecta, and you can get a 35 amp version of this thing as well. And it's got multiple current ratings on it. So let's have a bit of a look at the one I've got fitted in my van, give you a bit of a tour around what it physically looks like and how it works under load. Thanks. Let's have a look. Okay, so here's the Projecta IC2500 in this instance charger. I'll just turn that around so we can get it into perspective. So you can see the front panel of it. Now below that is the Projecta IC25. That's a DC to DC charger that I spoke about, that I have those mounted in the 4-wheel drive engine compartment to charge the auxiliary battery in that. Bulletproof little charger, excellent. And that maintains the battery when I'm towing, so it's a DC. It takes the feed from the Anderson plug on the vehicle and boosts it to 14.4 to maintain the AGM batteries correctly on board. Multi-chemistry charger again. But anyway, that's a separate issue, and there's plenty of information on the IC25 around. And it does solar as well. So currently just two lights on, and one's saying it's charging, the other one's saying it's solar, because it is maintained by a solar panel I have here at the moment. But right at the moment I've got the fridge running just to load this thing up, because my battery is fully charged at the moment. So as you can see, we've got the front panel showing us the voltage out, but we probably should look at this. I'll have a look at this on the remote control because it's easy to see it there. But as you can see here, the front panel on here is emulated, as I mentioned, on the remote control. So we'll have a look at that. But as you can see, it's a big box. It's substantial in its physical size. A lot bigger than, and I think, you know, that CTEK I was talking about, while it's longer than this, it had a similar footprint. Certainly in height, it's similar to this. So it's a much smaller package, and as I say, I think suffered from poor ventilation, considering our, you know, very high temperatures we get here, quite different to what they see in Sweden, perhaps. I don't know. Anyway, let's have a look at this. So the front panel, you can see there's an on-off switch up the top, and the various indicators, which we'll have a look at on the remote. Now at the rear, as I mentioned, I think from the perspective of cooling, this is a much better prospect here, because it's got a bigger fan. As you can see, that's about 60-70 millimeter diameter, I suppose 60 mil perhaps, fan in it. It's pretty quiet, doesn't make much noise. So the top plug here is temperature compensation. So that lead runs out to the battery and monitors the temperature and adjusts the charging profile if required. Due to the high ambient temperatures, it won't continue to run very high currents into a battery that's getting a bit too hot. So that's what this does. The plug at the back, sorry, the lead at the back here is the AC mains plug coming in from 240 volts. As I said, a fan that moves quite a lot of air. It's very good. Down below here, this is the remote control cable I mentioned. Goes off to the remote control head. And this is a simple modular phone jack, a 6-pin modular phone jack. I don't think it's 4, might be 6. Let's have a bit of a look here. Yeah, 6-pin. So that's a standard telephone lead. You can buy those at JCar and Kmart, all sorts of places sell those. They're real basic. So if you wanted to make it longer, the standard cable length that comes with this charger is 4.5 metres. But you could extend that 10 metres, it wouldn't be any problem. It's just sending data, so it's not an issue. Below that, the positive and negative wiring coming out, quite substantial, large wires, probably 8mm cable. They run out through here to an Anderson plug, which then goes off to the battery. So that's the Projecta. That's the main charger body. Get out of here. This, as I said, that's mounted under the bed. And very sort of difficult spot to get to if you wanted to see what was going on. So this is where the remote control panel comes in handy. So let's have a look at the remote control panel. So here it is here. I've mounted it in this instance. It's on the end of the bed. And also down here we've got a diesel heater mounted underneath here, and this is the control for the diesel heater and a vent for that. So I just put this in here. I wanted this in the field. As I said, this failed on me in Canberra, and it took me all of about a half an hour to put in, I reckon. So it's convenient. I can glance in from the door, as you can see. Back here, I'm over at the door. I can just look in the door, and there's my panel with telling me that it's charging, depending on what I've got selected. So it's at a glance. Negative sides of this thing, probably depending on where you put it.
that display is bright, and possibly at night time that might be something that would be perhaps annoying. I find it good. It's actually a good little night light in the van, so you get up to go to the toilet or something and you've got light down here, or get a drink of water. So I don't mind it, but could be an issue, and you might want to. Now you can't turn that display off. Well, there's nothing here that allows you to do it, so I'm quite sure you can't turn it off. Okay, let's have a look at what this display tells us and what this does. Okay, here's our remote control panel. Let's have a look at it. So we've got a number of buttons here, selector buttons. This first one is the voltage amp button. So currently this is displaying the battery charger output voltage, which in the case of an AGM, which this is set for, and that would be the norm for most Caravan batteries, is 14.4 volts. So it's stopped at that. It's not going to go any higher. The battery's now got to come up to this. And if I change this now to tell me how much current it's putting in, I can just push that. And I can see that it's currently pumping out 18.56 amps, whatever, because currently it's running the fridge on DC just as a load, and a couple of amps for lights and stuff. So this is current, and here we have the charge rate. Now this button allows you to select the maximum output current that you require from this charger. So there's four levels. So let's have a look at those. So it's currently set at 25 amps, but I can change that and make it 2 amps. And it flashes and then stops. Now you'll see this now current will adjust itself down to 2 amps. So it's now only putting out 2 amps, the charger, because that's what I've told it the maximum charge rate is. So you can adjust this charger to suit different size batteries, because you should never exceed more than, so if you had a 100 amp hour battery, you shouldn't put more than 20 amps into it. If you've got a 50 amp hour, you shouldn't put more than 5 amps into it, or 10 amps, sorry, max. So you don't want very high currents into a relatively small battery. So through this function you can limit this charger. So this is currently set to 2 amps. I can set that to 6 amps. So I'll pop that in, stops flashing, bang, set to 6 amps. This will come up to 6 now. There you go. It's now set, it's going to its maximum of 6. Take it up to 12 amps. Sets it to 12, and up she comes to 12. There you go. It's now putting out 12 amps max. We'll go to the maximum at 25, and because the fridge and the lights are only drawing a maximum of about 18 or 19 or whatever it is, I know it's going to catch up now because I've set it to 2. It's now got it, so it's now running at its maximum of 25. But as that catches up, it will drop down again to just the load of the fridge and the lights. So there we are there at the moment, 25 amps. So here now these are set as this chemistry currently is AGM. As I said, there's a number of chemistries. We can change this. We can see the AGM set as 14.4. That's what it's currently set for. But you can change this. So if I want to go to a wet cell battery, it's a 14.7 volts is the maximum charge for that. So it's resetting itself now, rebooting and setting itself up for wet cells. So the power supply's just restarted itself at that. And now I can change that again to a calcium battery. So again, it flashes until it sets. Now it does a restart and readjusts its output voltage accordingly. Or I can have it as a power supply, as I mentioned. So here's power supply mode. It sets itself to an output of 13.8 and a maximum current draw of 25 amps. So again, it's doing a recycle and resetting itself. That'll come up to, it hasn't been able to get it up, but it's just trying to bring it back up to 13.8. Nearly there. And so that's in power supply mode. So if we have a look at the current, it's running flat out at 25 amps. Now it's up to 13.8. So it's going to try and bring that battery up. And the total current draw, as I said, from the fridge and the lights is about 18, 19 amps, but it's a little bit behind because we went down to 2 amps for a while. It got ahead of it. So as you can see, it's just adjusting itself down now as it catches up. So that's power supply mode. Now we'll go back to AGM. So there's gel. There's the gel mode. So the maximum voltage for gel is 14.1. Again, does a recycle. and it's set itself for gel mode batteries with the maximum voltage of, I don't know, whatever that is, 14.1 I think it tries to get to. And we'll go back to AGM 14.4, let that set, does a restart. There we go, it's restarted. So we can see here we've got power on. Now there's no power switch on here, but there is on the front of the main charger. You may have seen there was a power switch there, mains power switch. Here we can see, well, we went from bulk charge, we've gone into absorption mode now because it's already nearly at come up to the voltage. It knows it's charged, so it's an intelligent charger, as they say, and it's got 7-stage charging profile. And I'll put a little clip on from 4-wheel drive TV done by Projecta Australia. I'll insert that after this if you want to watch it. It explains these 7 charging modes that it goes through. And then when it's satisfied that it's fully charged, it is fully charged, it'll come on, obviously. So that's the remote panel for it. And as I said, this is simple the way this console goes in. It is a little, this is actually the edge here, you can see around here. So you can lever this out. I'm not going to do it now, but anyway, this pops out. So this is an outer shell. That's what you screw on the wall. And that's just got 2 screws, and there's a hole right in the middle with a 15mm hole with that little modular phone jack in it. So that's what's popped in there, and that just pops in. So very easy to mount up, and all you've got to do is run that little flat ribbon cable around the place. So there you go, that's the Projecta IC2500. And as I mentioned, you can get a number of variants of this, but this is the 25 amp. You can get a 35, so the IC3500, and you can get an IC5000, which is a 50 amp charger. So enough to do the biggest battery pack that you'd expect to see in a van. I guess in AGMs, pretty much after that you'd be wanting to change over to lithium if you need batteries of that substantial a size. So there we have it, the Projecta IC series. Great little charger, thoroughly recommend it. Don't buy a CTEK, for God's sake, because they do warrant these things properly. It might only be 12 months, but you can take them back to any Projecta dealer, and this is my understanding from what I've found out and read about it. They will swap that out for you wherever you are. So if you're in Broome, you don't have to take the bloody thing back to Albury because it's failed. Alright, there we go, folks. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe, because I just produce stuff randomly, as you might have noticed. That'd be good. Thanks for watching, really appreciate the viewers enjoying my little homemade clips. Not very professional. Hey, it ain't Hollywood. Anyway, as I said, I'll put some Projecta stuff on at the end of this, and if there's anything else there relevant, I'll chuck it on as it'll finish.
Desulfation is the first stage that rejuvenates batteries ready for charging using a high-frequency pulse. Once the battery reaches 11 volts, soft start begins, which increases the battery life by gently starting to charge the battery. When the battery reaches 12 volt, bulk charging begins, which delivers maximum charge to reduce charging time. As the battery becomes charged, absorption takes over and is one of the most important stages to ensure 100% full charge of your battery. Once finished charging, IntelliCharge analyses the battery to make sure that it is able to hold the charge. If the battery fails the test, IntelliCharge further charges using a reconditioned charge that uses a high voltage charge to restore battery health by equalising the cells. Finally, once the battery is fully charged and passes the analysis stage, the charger begins float mode, which is designed to maintain the battery ready for use.